We've been trained to have fun with food, and that training is so ingrained in us that even when we know better, we still do it. I want to walk you through the ways that they get us, and then I want to talk to you about two simple things that this couple could have done to save themselves so much aggravation. There's this carnivore couple that I watched, and they were talking about their anniversary. Well, actually, the husband was. And he took his wife out to a fancy restaurant on their anniversary, but it was a normal restaurant and it caused problems. Emotional eating is a real thing, Wellness Warrior, and I need us to understand that it's reactive. That means that it's not just about seeking comfort and self soothing, it's also about celebrating. When good things happen, we think about food. I have 11 red flags that I want to go through with you today. The first one being that he had a drinking problem and actually believes he has the same problem with food, but somehow believed that he and his wife would be able to just have this one meal off plan and not have it impact their next coming weeks, leading into problem number two. So red flag number two is that if we disrespect that we're hooked on something, then we're going to struggle. Right? Because even though in their conversations about their keto journey, their carnivore journey, they speak about the fact that they've struggled to stick with it, they've fallen off a few times. At this moment, he's believing that they're far enough in that having a cheat meal won't matter. I want to point out that this channel has been around for 3 years. From what I can see when I look back. Does that mean that that's when they started? Not necessarily, because the first few videos look like they were already doing it, but 3 years is not that long, especially if you've struggled throughout the time that your channel's been up, so you haven't been consistent for the 3 years. So now we have problem number 3, which is that he ate something off plan. And then the next day after that, he ate something off plan and he ate something. And when he stumbled, he didn't share that. So he's lying now. If I was actually able to handle it, then I wouldn't be lying about what I'm eating. And, well, actually, because lying about what you're doing is one of the classic signs that you've re-engaged your issue, right? How many people do we know struggling with alcohol who swear up and down they haven't used anything, and yet when we talk to them, it's clear to us that they're inebriated right now. Unfortunately for him, he did not use his available support, which is red flag number 4. His wife is a support because she's going through the same thing, and they have a community that would have supported that conversation, because I'm sure there's many people in the community going through the same thing. Even using the support system he had in the moment, it seems like when he told his wife about his big surprise and where they were going, what restaurant they're going to, it sounds like she didn't want to go, because he mentions in the video that there was a large cancellation fee and he didn't want to, right? So I feel like that's the reason that they end up going, because of the large cancellation fee, because it was quite an expensive restaurant. That opened the door to problem number 5, which is they put money above their health. And I feel like this is an obvious problem, but I'm going to say anyways that wherever I put my money determines what I'm going to get back. If I spend money on garbage, I'm paying a lot of money to harm myself. If I spend money on quality food, then I might be spending a lot of money, but it's to heal myself. Those decisions we really need to look at carefully and decide what we're going to do. And red flag number 6 is that there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding about accountability and how it functions. His wife told him what to do to re-engage accountability, when in fact those ideas or whatever he chose to do should have come from him. How am I going to stick with this for myself, with me? What am I doing that's going to help me to be accountable to myself and to the people that I care about? Accountability should inspire you, not leave you feeling trapped or like a hostage. And when somebody else tells you, you have to do these things to be accountable, that's usually what happens. And we see that in the fact that in the telling of the story, he'd been procrastinating and hesitating on making the video, which was one of the things that he was told he had to do. Red flag number 7 is that he believed that his wife managed the cheat meal like a champ. So he's a failure and she's a success. He is still drinking the Kool-Aid, wellness warrior, because there's an idea in that says, if I'm not having fun with food somehow, I'm not really having fun. And that's just so blatantly not true. He seemed to be more focused on weight rather than health. And so for 2/3 of the video, he's talking about eating off plan for sure, because that's what the video is about. But then he's also talking about his weight gain, and he's talking about feeling depressed. So I'll give him that one. But it really did seem like most of his talk was about the weight, the water retention, and the fact that he didn't talk to his wife, right? So then we have like the last little bit of the video where he starts talking about physical repercussions like pain and things that come back. And I just wish that he was paying more attention to the physical stuff and the mental health stuff and less attention to the weight, because the weight isn't a problem. Your body is supposed to put carbs and excess sugar that you eat away in storage so that it keeps you safe. And he's misunderstanding his body and then frustrated that his body's doing absolutely the right thing. I really do wish that he would have allowed himself to focus more at the beginning of this, focus more on the health repercussions, because I think that that's the thing that is actually going to help him to succeed in the future. If he can focus on the better health that he's getting and focus less of his attention on weight on the scale, I think he'll stick with it longer, because he did feel repercussions, and they happened what sounded like earlier before his wife caught him. So had he paid attention to his own physiology, maybe he would have stopped it on his own earlier and had that chat with his wife earlier and not been feeling like such a failure, which I'm sure contributed to some of his also sadness and beating himself up that happens. Now, next we have finance. The last time that he ate off plan, he didn't make a video for like 2 months or something like that. This time, his wife stopped the videos. Like, we're not doing this until things change. In both of these cases, they're now not making the money that they could be making because they can't make videos. So if they have sponsorships, because I know this channel has sponsorships and any events coming up or anything, and of course, apparently she's real serious. So if she's canceled all these things, that impacts them financially. Obviously, his health is more important to her than any financial gain that they could get, or the channel growing or anything like that. Can I point out to you that for many of the channels, so these health YouTube people that are going to encourage you to take this keto product or that keto product, or to take these supplements or whatever, or even encourage cheat days once in a while, because what's the big deal? That they're allowing companies to pay them to say stuff like that to people who are actually trying to help their health. Understand that when you know the person who's struggling, you don't want to do it. Right? That's part of the reason I don't have any sponsorship. I can't find a sponsorship that would work with the content that I make, because most of it is processed food against a healthy keto and carnivore lifestyle. And most of it is just over the carb count that makes sense. Most of it are snacks. Most of it has added sugar for no reason. So I love the fact that she just stopped everything. His health matters more. Number 10, we tell ourselves stories that keep us off track, right? Keep us eating the silliness. In his mind, the fact that she loved the surprise meant that it was something good to do, right? He says, I guess it was worth it. Now, he's kind of saying it jokingly, and then he turns around and he takes it back. However, what most of us don't understand is that the story we tell ourselves is actually sticking in our head and keeping the bad behavior going. He had fallen off keto before. That means he actually ate off plan, had this experience in the past, didn't like it, fought to get back, and then at this anniversary allowed it to happen again, because there's a story that he's telling himself, whether he thinks he's joking or not. We live in our head. And if that's the story running in there, haha, it's not so bad, then that's the story we keep living. Can I point out that for his wife, though, I don't think she had a great time with this. I don't think she thought it wasn't that bad, because she felt horrible the next day, which he talked about. He and her got into big issues because he lied about what he was eating. He hid what he was eating for weeks. And so very likely she was stressed as she's trying to figure out, am I seeing what I'm seeing? And according to him, she's been upset with him since she found out. How was this worth it? He doesn't seem to understand that joking about it keeps it with us, keeps it as something that might be okay. They have a mantra: no sugar, no carbs, no cheating. And yet it didn't work. Why didn't it work? I don't think he actually believes it. Like, not in here. He says it to encourage you, but does he believe it in here? When I say prioritize health over taste, it's because I actually believe it. When I say only eat meals, it's because I actually believe it. They're not mantras. They're rules that I live by. My health matters more than any fun taste of food. I eat meals because I learned that snacks raise my insulin. Don't want that. No sugar, no carbs, no cheats could be really good for him if he believes it. But from his actions, the fact that he took his wife out on their anniversary for a cheat meal, there's a question mark there for me. He needs to internalize that. Not just say it for you guys. He needs to say it for himself. Believe it when he says it. No sugar, no carbs, no cheats. Which then would mean I'm drinking black coffee, which then would mean that I'm only eating meat with salt and all these other things that have carbohydrates in it, because that's what I'm saying. No sugar, no carbs, no cheats. That's what I'm saying. Sugar and carbs therefore become cheats, and they would fall away from my life. So I really encourage people to put the idea of mantras down, because they're not real. You don't believe those things. If you believe them, then they're not a mantra. They're rules for the way you live your life, and you would be doing them, and you wouldn't need to remind yourself about them because those rules would be ingrained in you. The 11th red flag that I heard in this video is that if I can bounce back from one cheat meal, that means I can bounce back from all of them, and that my body is healed. And that's just not true. We will never, ever heal from eating toxins, because a poison is a poison. We're not supposed to eat it. The actual goal is to avoid eating toxins. As long as he keeps this mindset that at some point I'm going to be healthy enough to eat the garbage again, he's going to keep looking for that opportunity to eat the garbage again. And I don't want that for any wellness warrior. We need to understand these 11 issues that I'm talking about today, so that if they're happening in your life, you see them clearly, and then you act now and solve them immediately. I love that he ends the video by adding 2 more goals that he made up himself. And he said he was going to share it with his community, which now means that he's going to be accountable, because he made those and he's going to do them. Right? And they're going to work because they're coming from him. Which brings us to our first solution. Eating on plan needs to come from you. If you decide to eat healthy every single day, another one of my rules that I have for myself, and you eat only meals, then you will do that. Because you've decided. Nobody's telling you to do it. Nobody's forcing you to do it, because nobody can force you to eat properly. The same way that nobody can force me to eat off plan. I would rather not eat than eat off plan, which I've done multiple times at different family events, friend events, parties. I look around, and if there's nothing there that I can eat, then I eat nothing. Why? Feeling good matters more to me. Now, when he was planning this meal, this fancy dinner out, he could have planned for a steakhouse. Or when they found out that to cancel it was a $75 charge, they could have still gone to the restaurant and only ordered meat and just been really strict. We don't want any side dishes. We don't. Now, that meal might have cost a touch more, but apparently it was an expensive meal regardless. So eliminating the carbohydrates and just having a really good meal that would have kept him on track, I absolutely think would have been worth it. Because solution number 2, I pay to have good health. My money is going to go somewhere. I can either give it to companies that don't care about me that are selling me garbage, restaurants that don't care about me that are selling me garbage, or medications that don't care about me. They just want to keep me dragging forward, feeling horrible so that I'll keep taking their medication. Possibly some kind of intervention, so surgical intervention that's going to hurt and just keep me dragging forward. Or I can spend that money on quality food. I'm encouraging every wellness warrior, spend your money on quality food. Spend your money on activities that help you to be healthy, like skateboarding, longboarding, biking, swimming, art, movies. Like, you could do so many things that would not have harmed your health, wellness warrior. Celebrate with activities. Go for a long walk along the beach. Reminisce about the times where you guys had no money and this is how you would have celebrated anyway. There's lots of different ways to celebrate that don't hurt our bodies. So I'm really encouraging every wellness warrior. This video that I watched, it really reminded me that we need reminders to get back to basics. Prioritize health over taste. I only eat meals, right? Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, that's food. Everything else you put on your plate is for fun. How much fun are you having? And when does that fun stop you from having fun? Because now it's impacting your health. Too often we get to the point where it impacts our health. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button since you made it to the end. And if you're already subscribed, share the video. That truly does help me. I make these videos so that you can improve your health, wellness warrior. So I will see you in the next one. Click on this link because you're going to find this video very helpful.